Hello, guys. Let's catch up on some news on the Canadian underworld. There's one that I didn't speak about, but a friend sent it to me. What was it? It says on the 25th. So about what? 1 week. This one was major. It's about province that we don't really cover, not because we dislike it or anything like that. It's just I have never followed through the years those provinces. So if it's something major, I'll just talk about it. If I see it there, if someone sends it to me, I trust them when they say it's major, and I'll just read it. But it's just I don't like to speak about something that I didn't read up on for a while. Some other guy asked me for on Toronto, and it's true, man. There's so much stuff going on there. I'm overwhelmed. I would just be starting from scratch again. And there's lots of people that have a lot way more knowledge than I could have, starting from scratch, and they'll get annoyed as f. I even tried to do it for Hamilton, and boy, it's half and half. Half people there saying, "Why are you covering this? You know nothing about it." But they don't even give me a chance to learn, bud. They won't even give me the chance to learn. But I don't feel like dealing with that. So, anyways, I've been researching BC for a very long time from an outside perspective, But nothing beats local. Nothing will ever beat local. I support local. But then Quebec, I lived here. I mean, so I'll cover that. Anyways, so back to it. To Calgary. What's up, DJ? What's up, buddy? How you, my man? How's DJ, bro? How is it going, bud? So DJ, I'm just looking at Calgary right now. One time only type of deal, unless something major happens. This is pretty major. We need to understand the Canadian underworld. You'll see why. So charges stayed for 5 accused in organized crime bust with links to the Mexican cartel. Looks like the cartel have a huge influence in our underworld here. Really across the world. But we like to see pure evidence of this. We like to see the trails, right? We know that the Wolfpack had alliance with the Sinaloa cartel, receiving their product, bringing it here. We also had their enemies of the Sinaloa cartel. Who do you call them? What was it? CJNG? I believe it was CJNG that was selling their supply from Mexico to a Scopa brother. Remember their last remaining Scopa brother, the third one? I think his name was Roberto Scopa. He got busted, was it in January? So anyways, his pipeline came from the CJNG. It was not Sinaloa cartel mentioned there. So remember, that was to come to Canada. That was the whole point. And so Sinaloa cartel, CJNG, and these are two pretty important cartels in Mexico, right? And we need to see this evidence. And someone else actually sent me one. Guys, someone awared me. I was Anthony Serrano. He awared me that they had busted. Don't quote me on this, though. But it did happen. Something like this happened. Just don't quote me on the fact that I think they busted. Was it a laboratory or clandestine laboratory in Quebec? I'm not too sure. But what matters is what they busted was operatives of a cartel. Literal operatives of the cartel in Quebec. I think it was Quebec. But it was the literal operatives. No longer speaking about Wolfpack doing it themselves. We're speaking about them setting up shop here. That worries me personally, I don't like that idea. But anyways, so you see what I'm saying there. Now we got Calgary. We got another indicator for that. It says 5 accused in organized crime bust with links to the cartel. Which cartel? And what product? Of course, it says 144 keys of M&Ms, but I was hoping more for Kane, but that's significant. There's going to be those two products mainly, or Fenty as well. But looks like they're backing off on the Fenty. They got the Department of Justice pissed off. You saw what Fenty did the last few years. Kane was acceptable, it seems. I'm saying that, and you know how I'm saying that. You're smart enough to figure it out. Kane was acceptable. The other stuff was acceptable, but Fenty completely decimated our streets. You come to Montreal, you go to, what's it called? Berry-UQAM? I forgot the name of the neighborhood, bro. But even if I was there all the time, people used to, 2 decades ago, I remember being there and people would shoot the heron. I'm afraid of saying the word. They would shoot heron right in the middle of the street in front of your face, man. They would literally just come line up right next to you, No joke. Imagine I'm talking about middle downtown. The guy who comes right next to you because he's seeing you smoke a cigarette, and he just needs a spot, So he comes right next to you, no shame, and then he covers himself in a coat and he starts pinning himself. That was 2 decades ago with the Black Dragon. Black Dragon is for H, right? That's what we use here. Now, thing is, the Black Dragon has been superseded by Fenty, and they say, allegedly it's 20, maybe it's not the word allegedly, but you know what I mean. 20 times stronger is what they were saying. And then you saw what Fenty, we already had the East Vancouver problems, and now it's much worse because of Fenty. But it's not just like that, guys. It's here in Montreal. It's there in San Francisco also. It's there in, is it Chicago or I forgot, all these municipalities, especially in the West. It's really a Western problem, it seems, where we let these things get out of hand. They won't just force people into rehab. The rights is more important. The right to let them destroy their communities, the right to let them destroy themselves. It's not asking too much, but it is over here. So, anyhow, so all I was saying is that what we would see the cartels bringing here may have been Fenty at a certain point, the precursor maybe. They would bring it from there or directly from China. Then you'd have, for sure, the cane, and that's the main one. Now we're seeing M&Ms in there. Project Cobra. In the midst of, see what we got here. We're just going to look at the bust. At the time charges were announced, police said it was believed the $55 million stupefier bust involved nearly 1 metric ton of M&Ms and 6 kilograms of cane. Was the largest ever in Alberta. Not because of the 6 keys of cane, but because of the 1 metric ton of M&Ms. Right? That's got to be it. So it says, with 3 sets of stays issued last April, and in 2023, 10 of the 15 people originally charged in an investigation called Project Cobra are no longer before the courts. So you're saying, stayed, right. So they did the Canada stuff, guys. They're going to let them go. They messed up somewhere, and they're going to get away with it. In other words, look at the names. We got stayed all charges against King Jarrett McKenzie, 34, Elias Ade, 40, Abdul Akbar, 39, and Carrie Lynn Grant, 50. Was that it? 53. The alleged leaders and those facing serious offenses. All right, we're gonna skip the rest. We don't think we need to read everything here. I'm just trying to see if we got anything. It says in Project Cobra in September 2022, the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team, ALERT, they call them ALERT, announced the fruits of Project Cobra in a partnership, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. The investigation resulted in 15 people facing 80 charges, including stupefier trafficking, organized crime, money laundering, and having arms, right? The people charged, including King, were accused of moving stupefiers produced by Mexican cartels to Alberta. Which one? 2 of King's homes, multi-million-dollar mansions in Halifax and Niagara-on-the-Lake. Oh, I love Niagara-on-the-Lake. I remember being there. Was that the place where, if I recall, when I went there, it was like a wine pressing place, like very heavy on wine. Is that it? If I were raisins, I can't remember, but it was something to do with wine, I believe. It was a great place, man. Old country. It looked like old English type of place. I was there. I've been there. I do remember, but that was 10 years ago or more. So that's where he had one of the mansions where he lived. Investigators seized 2 Lamborghinis, a Porsche, and other assets. Okay, submachine arms. Here's the car he had. In April, they stayed the charges. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna skip this. Among those arrested was Talal Fouani. Just weeks after he was charged with organized crime offenses, he was shot alongside his wife as they sat in their Bentley outside the Southwest Calgary home. So you see evidence of that trend happening that we've been noticing at least the last few years. This is becoming commonplace. It's you're getting shot with your wife or your girlfriend in the car with you. And now you see that right here with Talal Fouani. But now it's worse. Even the kids are in the car with you. They might see that happen. There's no shame in the game. Nikita Baron died 31. That's his wife, right? Or girlfriend. Damn, man. Last year, Fouani pled guilty to money laundering but has yet to be sentenced and is awaiting a decision on that. On whether his charges will be stayed due to what his lawyer argued is unreasonable delay. So these are the reasons, guys. Unreasonable delay. The classic one to get your charges stayed. My God, it's the same story in Quebec. Over and over a decade. There you go, guys. All right, I guess we're done there. So Mexican cartel, Alberta, and you see Caucasian name, Arabic name, all of them all together, 10 of the 15, and they're gonna get released after all the evidence they have in hand. It's a joke of a system we got here, But it repeats itself, this joke. But who's laughing? Quebec and Toronto police forces expect dozens of arrests in fraud raids. Now, you remember we also spoke about frauding the elderly. Lots of Quebecers have been busted these last few years, frauding old seniors, retired, and honestly, that's the one that if I get a chance, I'm gonna milk this and make a fool out of those people who do this. There's nothing good about this. There's no excuse in the world for this. I can understand selling stupefiers. It's a service someone else is asking. Someone else wants it, and you're delivering that service. You both agreed on it, As long as you didn't force them, but usually it's not the case. The end user is not forced to buy. The end user is not forced to buy anything. He wants it, that's all. This is not this is totally different. This is you ruining people's lives, and the retirement, and you're targeting old, vulnerable people. That's there's no excuse for doing this at all. Now, what's going on here? We got Quebec and Toronto, and it also seems like a lot of crimes these days that we're covering. Not saying it never happened before, it doesn't happen before, but what we've been noticing ourselves here together, my dear Crafty one, is lots of crimes are connected between Quebec and Ontario. And rightfully so, it makes sense. I mean, logically so. They share the border, right? They're not a different country, but they share, you know what I mean? They're neighbors, very close neighbors. It's easy to go to Toronto and vice versa, or Ontario, vice versa. The schemes, the businesses that are the illegal businesses that we've noticed were, of course, stupefier trafficking. You had the Master B, I use that nickname just because I can't say the real word, who is still on the run, who was running a successful dope dealing operation, and he's on the run right now. He was raking in millions and millions of dollars. That was a no joke operation. That guy, he was getting his pipeline from Ontario. So that's the one, is dealing. The second business was car thefts. We saw they'll steal from Ontario, bring to Quebec, or steal from Quebec, bring to Ontario. That was the other one. And the third one, to be appreciated here on this article, for example, is they're talking about Quebec and Toronto police forces expect dozens of arrests in fraud raids. Frauding old people. There you go, man. Something to be proud of, huh? Something to be proud of. Prey on the weak. Enjoy that. And then you go to prison and your buddies look at you like you never did anything wrong. We're against harming children. You're harming old, elderly people, You know what they say? The older you get, the more you resemble a baby. Look at them. They'll almost like when you get really old, they look like babies. You retransform into a baby. So you go and you're a predator against old people. And what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you milk their bank account if they don't get any refunds and the bank says, "Whoop, too bad for you." Not all cases of fraud can be helped. You willingly gave your information out. You did it. They didn't steal it like that from you. You gave the information. What if they do that to that old person? Well, how is he going to retire? What is he going to do? How is he going to pay his rent? What is he going to do? He's going to go on the street at 80 years old? Yeah, but your buddy going to jail now, and you're saying no, he didn't touch any children. He's a good guy. He's a solid guy. Is he? If he's part of this, he's a solid guy. See, so what is going on here? They're actively searching 22 locations on Thursday, expecting to hand more than 2 dozens of arrests. So we're talking about 24-ish people for fraud and false representation schemes. So we have the Quebec Provincial Police, the SQ, along with so what are the locations? They're saying Montreal, Longueuil, and Toronto together. These three police bodies from the SQ is from the province, Montreal Police, Longueuil Police, Toronto Police. Now the officers hit Sherbrooke, Brossard, that's the south shore of Montreal. You have Montreal itself. You have Laval, the north of Montreal, be like the equivalent of Brossard, like a mirror, like imagine you do a mirror. Montreal's the mirror. On top you have Laval, and at the bottom you have Brossard, right? Then you have Toronto. So these are the areas that they were targeting. So people from there, fraudsters from there, and also other Quebec locations. All right. And 250 officers involved. They expect to meet with or arrest 28 people, so it's not even 24, it's 28. False representative fraud is a ploy that consists of phoning a senior citizen on his or her home line, pretending to be a representative of a financial institution. During the call, the representative says that he or she has spotted potential fraud in the victim's bank account. The victims are asked to hand over bank cards and PIN numbers, to the fake representative, who will eventually try to withdraw money or make purchases. There you go. So that's how they do it. They also pretend to be your grandson calling you, and he's stranded. He needs help. It's an emergency, and we've seen that. The scheme relies on then sending one of his friends to come to the poor senior's home, and then collecting that cash and leaving. So they arrested 5 suspects in Laval and Montreal. All right, we're going to end that there. Next one, now for stealing vehicles, guys, you have 17 and 19-year-olds getting involved. That's all I wanted to say on that matter. They arrested 2, I guess. Yep, they arrested 2. Well, they arrested 3. 2 of them, one of them is... No, they're between 17 and 19. That's all you need to know. All right. So they were arrested for resale of a good of $5,000 or more, the vehicle, right? Yeah, we're gonna leave that there. All right, another one, implicated in a network of selling arms, guys. An employee of the University of Concordia has been caught living a double life. We have a Samantha Sarika Singh who's been shackled recently. So she went to Concordia University in downtown Montreal, which is a degree mill. They know there's no jobs for maybe 3/4 of the diplomas. There's no jobs at all. There's barely anything. You won't be able to land anything, but they'll still print those degrees and they'll sell you a dream. They'll tell you, oh, there's these jobs. You come up, you need to get an education. And then you'll find out after you're done that you wasted a lot of time. You got into debt. You did whatever you had to do to finance it, and they're asking for entry level jobs and almost anything. They're asking 3 to 5 years experience, which you won't have. But they don't tell you that because they have so many candidates, so many pool of supply. I had one guy the other day. He's innocent, he's innocent. He was like, "Yeah, man, but immigrants, they come here, they pay $8,000 to $20,000 to study. Yes, they pay that amount, but they're playing the game. They're not here to study. They're not coming from, say, Zimbabwe to study here and go back to Zimbabwe. They're doing it because they want to stay here. So they scheme, they pay that, wherever it's from. I'm just giving you an example. And then they pretend they want to just come here study. That's not the goal. That's not what most of them do. They're actually trying to get work here. But then you have other people here who've been struggling for years, applying to different jobs, not getting entry into anything. And then they think, you know what, let me get this education everyone's talking about. Maybe it will finally open doors for me. Then they go to Concordia University, for example, and they struggle through it. They manage to do it. They get into debt, maybe, whatever the situation. They finally graduate, and then they figure out the real truth. It's that instead of applying for this job and competing with 5 people, they're competing with 120, and about 3/4 of them were not in the country like 3-4 years ago. How is that fair for the person who's been in Canada for decades and struggling and trying to make ends meet, trying to improve his life. But everyone's looking for a job in Canada these days. Canadian jobs belong to the rest of the planet. Doesn't matter if you grew up here your whole life, you've been putting in the system. Nope, the resources are to be sold to absolutely everybody. The entitlement of the rest of the planet. Everyone's a citizen of Canada, to be honest. The jobs are for sale these days. It's not to better the people who've been here putting into the system. None of that. The hospitals are crumbling. There's not even space for them. But yeah, let me guess. She's been she. So let's come back to the story. Anyways, man, I didn't want to get into that, but here you have it. Someone dealing arms, working at Concordia. She got busted. It's funny that it's a woman. Very rarely we ever hear something like this. But I doubt she had anything. She did it all by herself. I truly doubt that. So she's among the 12 people arrested in the network, right, exactly, that was furnishing arms to criminalized groups that are warring for the control of stupefy in the province, right? All right. Yeah, I'm gonna skip most of it. It says Samantha Sarika Singh was a coordinator in the Department of Science and Engineering, I guess, according to Concordia University's website. Anyways, but last week she was caught for her double life. She lives in the West Island, west of Montreal, and she's suspected to having fabricated and offered to fabricate or having given rounds, firearms, prohibited ones, in Montreal and in Quebec. I don't know what that means. No clue what none of that means. And we also reproaching her of possessing firearms and prohibited firearms. I don't get it, man. Sometimes the writing goes over my head with the legal jargon. But you get it. You get the picture. They believe she's trafficking arms or playing her part in the whole scheme, basically. So the other people, the other people was 12 people arrested with her, aged between 21 to 53. And an important actor of the network is still in Colombia, according to their information. Some of the suspects are still on the run, though. But one of the main important actors is, I guess, on the run in Colombia. They're not going to get him anymore. So this is operation called Radioactive. We heard about that. Yes, we did hear about that. They're trying to destroy the pipeline of the BFM and street gangs who are rebelling against the Hells Angels for the control of the streets. So they don't go after the Hells Angels. They're going after everyone else. And how they want to do that is to make them defenseless. So they're going to go remove their arms. That's the goal here. That's what they're doing. So what did they get so far? 27 tool, rounds. The big ones. Let's say the big guns, 27, and 23 of the smaller ones. Also, 4 million units of M&Ms, approximately 34 kilograms of it, and they did get 18 keys of cane. That's a pretty good bust, no? And it says this specific network, was importing rounds or tools from the United States, of course, without a doubt, to bring them into Quebec specifically. Wow, so they were milking this. They were the ones milking this gang war. They were after them for a few years now, at least one or two. They finally caught some people in this. Crazy. This might actually, I don't know if this will. Honestly, they'll find another way to get it. What's up, 514 Lyrics? What's up, Real Socrates? Gagnon, Alain, sorry, bud. And DJ. We're gonna skip that. We're done there. Now, you remember this story we spoke about last year? We had a Quebecer in Mexico. Do you remember? He had a girlfriend, or was it? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was Mexico. He had a girlfriend from there, and what we knew at the time was he got offed. What happened is, I believe he went to a bar to drink. He had a few drinks, and of course, that bar has lots of seedy people visiting them, such as cartel members. You're a white guy in Mexico, and your food, more than likely, a lot of the times, if you bump into people like that, and they're just looking for any excuses, or perhaps they actually found an excuse, one thing led to the next, and I don't know what it was. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember is Victor Mason was chasing people from his vehicle. He was not being chased, from my understanding. He was the one after he went to the bar for some reason. Maybe he got his wallet stolen. Who knows? But he was chasing after a vehicle in Mexico on the road. So he ran out of the bar for some reason. He drove the vehicle and he started chasing them. And after that, guess what happened? He got murked. Mysteriously, he got murked. And there were what do you call them? There were, what's the word? Were witnesses who saw it. They started to disappear. And the family from Canada was trying to get justice, and contacted lawyers over there. The lawyers over there did not want to touch this because they know that was a cartel member who did it. Somehow they all knew, and he could get him in trouble. And me and you here thought there would never be any justice. But look at it here. Look at a twist of events. Accused in the offing of Victor Mason in Mexico, found guilty. Now, who is this person? It's Mario Omar Sanguinez Lopez. What a fitting name, Sanguinez. That sounds like Bloodthirsty Lopez right here. Remember that joke? Bloodthirsty Lopez got 30 to 40 years in prison, claiming his innocence. Now I'm just kidding. That's not his real name. It's not Bloodthirsty Lopez. That's his real name here, Mario Omar Sanguinez Lopez. I just found that funny. But why I'm telling you that is this a cartel stooge? As in, did they feed the police this man? He had nothing to do with it, and he just had to take it. Or they really catch a cartel member, and that this was really the guy. Because in Mexico, it's pretty normal when it's time to face the consequences, because they're still not trying to get into the Department of Justice's lens here. Remember, like last year when the American, the Black Americans went to Mexico. I'm just saying black because you'll remember better. Remember those Black Americans that went to Mexico, and then they were in the middle of a shootout. They didn't have anything to do with the shootout. They just happened to be there, and then the cartel members kidnapped them. And then when the cartel members realized the Department of Justice and the United States law enforcement was going to come descending upon them, what did they do? They returned. They returned one of them dead, and I think two of them alive or something. Remember that? It was a big news. The girl was going there to get butt implants or something stupid like that. But what I remember about that, what I wanted to tell you is, after all this, the cartels didn't just return those people. They also allegedly handed over in the vehicle, tied behind their hands tied behind their back, four alleged members of the cartels. Now, do you think they actually took the leaders and gave them, or do you think they gave pawns who they said, look, you're going to take it for us. It's going to help our cartel, and you don't have a choice. We're going to murk your parents. I'm leaning on number 2 here. But, of course, it could also be just that these 4 are the actual people that made the mistake of taking them. I don't know, man. Because it's not really a mistake. That's how it goes in Mexico. It's lawless. How could you blame them? It's because now they're voluntarily blaming themselves. So what I'm trying to tell you is Mario Omar Sanguinez Lopez, was it this a scenario like this? So Canadian law enforcement trying to get justice. Mexico has to give in, and these cartel members realize they messed up, and now they're asking him to voluntarily be guilty. You know what I mean? The voluntary guiltiness of Mexico, how they do it over there. Usually they're not guilty. They do what the hell they want. But in this case, they need to appease the arm of justice from America or Canada, just to stop things dead on their tracks. Who knows? Who knows? I'm leaning more towards that, but I'm speculating here. So this guy was found guilty. They gave him, what do you say, 30 to 40 years? But he claims his innocence. Remember that. He's also claiming his innocence. So maybe not. Maybe they just caught the guy and now he's claiming his innocence because he didn't voluntarily give himself, right? It says he's claiming his innocence. So maybe it's not that. What do we got here? We're going to just see if we got... All right, I guess we're going to cut this here. Let's just go to the next story. Doesn't matter. All right, guys, I'm going to translate this for you. Remember we had an attack in La Baie? We spoke about this a few months ago, I think. During the BFM versus Hells Angels saga, someone got offed. Remember that? Well, there's an update on that story. Yeah, I know. Me too. I barely remember it. But I just remember some stuff happened in La Baie for sure. So let's see what this update is about.
Les policiers croient avoir élucidé une tentative de meurtre survenue en avril dernier à La Baie, au Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean.
So the police think they solved an attempted offing in La Baie in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. So Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, good, she mentioned that, so it helps me out. It helps you out. It's no longer just La Baie. La Baie is going to be part of the red zone, and it's going to be the bastion, alleged bastion and territory of one of the co-bosses of this rebellion on the BFM side. It would be Al Boivin, right? So an attempted offing of someone in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. So, you do the math there.
À ce moment-là, c'est un homme dans la soixantaine qui avait été atteint par balle à la porte de son logement.
What? Did you say? Sorry about that, guys. I got a little bit... Thank you, Adam. I saw your message, pal. That's why I got distracted. But no. Thank you. We'll do that, bro.
Soixantaine qui avait été atteint par balle à la...
So it was a 60-year-old man who was touched, guys. Was blessed. You know what I'm saying?
Porte de son logement.
At the door of his home.
Et finalement, les policiers confirment que la victime n'avait absolument rien à voir avec le conflit.
So Mr. Jean, the reporter here, we just found out that man, 60-year-old, who was touched in front of his home, right by his door, was a completely innocent man. It was a mistaken identity attempt on his life. There you go, guys. Again, it happens.
Oui, absolument. Julie, d'ailleurs, on a parlé à la victime
Yes, absolutely, Julie. In fact, we spoke to the victim
il y a quelques minutes.
a couple of minutes ago. So he just left the guy's home.
Et bon, écoutez, certainement soulagé qu'il y ait eu arrestation dans ce dossier, même
Certainly, he's relieved that there is an arrest in this case.
si elle n'a pas voulu accorder d'entrevue à la
But also, he did not want to give us an interview. Yeah, could you blame the guy?
caméra. Le 15 avril dernier, cet homme
So the events happened on the 15th of April.
se trouvait dans son logement,
And he was at home inside.
entend du bruit en fait dans le portique et
And then he hears noise at the door.
voit par la fenêtre du logement
And then he looks at the window, from the window of his home.
quelqu'un s'avancer qui va tenter
And he sees someone so he checks by the window, right? I don't know. He said he heard a noise, but so he heard a noise, and I don't know what that means. He heard a noise, and then he went to the window to check. And as he's checking the window, he notices that there's a person approaching his home, right?
de défoncer la porte du logement.
And that person was attempting to break in through the door, or so to break the door, basically.
Lui, il résiste de son côté.
And him, the innocent person inside the home was resisting from his side. I'm guessing he's trying to hold the door closed.
Soudain, détonation. Résultat.
And then suddenly there's a detonation. That means a round goes off. Now, I don't know if he's holding the door or not. It just seems that's what he's describing here. That the guys are trying to break through the door. He's trying to hold the door. That's as best as I can understand it. But he says that as this was happening, if I understand correctly, but then at that point, what is for certain is there's a shots went off.
Poumon perforé, deux côtés.
And the result of that, he's got a punctured lung.
Éclaté 3 heures sur la table d'opération.
And he spends 3 hours in the operating table in the hospital.
Aujourd'hui, Ghislain Grenier, 54 ans, de Sainte-Béatrix dans l'Anaudière, de même que Zachary Gagnon, 21 ans, Stéphane Hébert, 32 ans, sont accusés de tentative.
So we have a 54-year-old, a 21-year-old, sorry about that, guys,
Stéphane Hébert, 32 ans,
and a 32 years old are being accused
sont accusés de tentative de meurtre.
of attempted offing.
2 autres femmes de 26 ans de Rawdon,
And 2 other women from Rawdon,
soit Kim Warren-Lapointe et Rosalie Bourassa, sont
these are the names,
accusées d'avoir déchargé une arme à feu.
and it's the women that are accused of discharging the rounds, guys. We're getting lots of women in this affair, in these underworld business recently. Did you not notice? Like the news from the story from the 2 days ago with the SBJ. Here also, the attackers are actually 2 women. Yes, the guys were there, but I guess they had the women do the job, guys. But the guys were there trying to breaking into the door. It's strange because someone let off the rounds through the door too. So who knows, man? But it's the women who let off the rounds. That's for certain.
L'enquête démontre 2 choses. Julie Alboivin est derrière ces crimes.
Ah, there you go. And the investigation shows one thing. Did you hear? Alboivin was behind this attempt. So he's the one, for certain, who ordered these. What did I tell you? Do the math. Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. We're not too bad, huh, me and you, pal?
Et il y a eu erreur sur la personne.
But there was a mistake on the person.
Il y a certaines de ces personnes-là, effectivement, qui pouvaient venir faire d'autres commandes. Ce qu'on comprend de l'événement, c'est que l'enquête a démontré que
So what we understand so far, the investigation has demonstrated or revealed or found out
c'est Alboivin qui est à la tête de tout ça et
that it is Alboivin who's at the head of all of what happened.
qui demande à faire ces crimes-là. C'est des
Who demands that these crimes be perpetrated?
gens qui ne proviennent pas de la région, qui viennent ici, commettent un crime.
And these are people, so the 3 men and 2 women, I guess, it must be talking about them, says these are people who are not even from the area. They're not even from the region. They come from outside. Remember, usually a lot of them come from Montreal. We noticed, remember that?
Et repartent. Lorsqu'il s'agit
And when they're done, he says they go back, of course.
d'une personne qui est innocente, qui est impliquée dans un conflit comme ça, les corps de police doivent s'associer et ne peuvent pas tolérer ce genre d'agissement-là.
Well, now the cop says when someone innocent like this has nothing to do with any of it gets hurt, then that makes it makes it more unacceptable for the cops to even tolerate this or let these people get away with it.
Et d'ailleurs, Jean, les policiers espèrent qu'Al Boivin est ébranlé par ces arrestations multiples.
So the police are. I don't. She says. I think she. Well, she says. Isn't it Al Boivin? Isn't he like shaken right now by the arrests because they caught the people, right?
Au moins financièrement, Julie. Il faut dire que
Now the reporter says yes, he's shaken. At least he must be hurt financially.
Gagnon et Hébert avaient été arrêtés au lendemain de ce crime à la baie à Jonquière en possession d'armes.
Interesting. So the perpetrators, Stéphane Hébert and Zachary Gagnon, well, at least 2 of them. There was more than 2. What I heard him say is, man, they arrested the guy literally the next day. They arrested these 2 the following day. So it happened, and then the next day they already got them. How quick was that? You can't get away with anything, man.
Ils sont détenus depuis ce temps, mais pour d'autres
They've been detained since then,
infractions, maintenant les policiers espèrent qu'avec
but they detained them for other infractions. I don't get it. So did they arrest him the next day for other infractions? And so that's why they've been there? Or did they arrest him the next day because they had suspicions they did this, but they couldn't hold them because they don't have enough evidence, so they used something else. So it's up in the air in that sense, guys.
toutes ces arrestations, ils vont finir par remonter jusqu'à Alboivin.
Now, with all of these arrests, they will be able to climb up the hierarchy and go to Alboivin. So this is Alboivin right there.
Nous, ce qu'on sait, c'est qu'à partir du moment où on arrête des gens de son organisation,
Us, what we know is that from the moment that we arrest people from his organization,
il y a moins d'argent qui rentre et ça fait mal.
there is less money that comes in, and
à une personne qui est en cavale. Plus on retire
my apologies, guys. I lost my train of thought here. Just want to make sure.
de criminels,
Come on. Sorry about that.
on sait, c'est qu'à partir du moment où on arrête des gens de son organisation, il y a moins d'argent qui rentre et ça fait mal à une personne qui est en cavale. Plus
Okay. No. He says all when we arrest the people who work for him, it really hurts him financially, especially while he's on the run. He depends on that money even more, right? Because everything is about money, man. How are you going to stay on the run if you don't have your income coming in regularly, right? These are the people carrying it out for you. It's key. Now we just took them out of the game. That's big, man. Because that means that you're not making money from you. You're not doing the stuff yourself. People are doing it for you. Those people get arrested. That's an income flow that completely stopped for you. And now, and you're more than ever how you say, you paying people. Your entire shtick is about paying people to do stuff for you. Well, the people you paid to do stuff for you, they can't do stuff for you. So there's no more flow of income coming in. Now you can't pay people to do more stuff for you, which you ultimately really rely on right now because you're on the run. That's what I wanted to say.
Plus on retire de criminels du terrain, de gens qui viennent commettre des crimes sur le territoire du Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, bien, plus ça fait mal. Et effectivement, plus on peut ouvrir d'enquête avec de nouvelles informations.
So it says the more people we arrest, more damage we cause him. It's going to help. But what's more important? What's more important is the last lines he said. The more people we arrest, well, the more information we'll get, and that's going to carry them forward even more. It's that extra information they're going to get.
Alors, Julie, comparution des 5 individus cet après-midi, 15h, au Palais de justice de Chicoutimi.
So they will appear in the courthouse this afternoon. This was Thursday, October 3rd. So today, we're good. Now I'm going to double check here. We don't miss any details here. If there's anything else going on. Because you remember, we check the videos, and sometimes by not skipping the article, we get something. We don't chance it. So if you want to see what these kinds of people like to use, you got a semi-automatic Smith & Wesson SD40 and a carbine semi-auto Norinco 84S-1. Whatever those things are, if you like it. What else we got? Now, the women's names are Kim Warren Lapointe, Rosalie Bourassa. Both of them are 26. And both of them are from Rawdon. So it's not Montreal. It's from Rawdon, the two women were from. I'm looking at the guys. I want to see if we got some that I don't seem to get. Yeah, I don't seem to get where they were from, the dudes. But they are being held in Bordeaux and Saint-Jérôme, if you're curious where people go. Now, all of them would be linked to the BFM. There you go. Of course, we spoke about Al Boivin, so it's no mystery there. Any other details here? Okay. Okay, so just to be clear, guys, on the night, on what happened was they rang his doorbell. I think he went up to the window. He looked who they were, and he didn't really want to open it, I guess. Then they started to try to break in. I don't get it. And I guess the guy finally decided to open the door. I don't know, but they tried to off him while inside. All right, yeah, I guess we'll call it there. Yeah, what's up, Adam? What was it, buddy? We're ready, man. If you're still there. Says, I have another article for you, bro, after the main ones, for sure, but we're here. Yeah, let us know, bud. Give you a few moments, because I don't want to hold people hostage. Maybe you're no longer there. It's all good, too. What's up, Adam Rogers, bud? I was just reading your message here. Responding to that one when he says "Qu'est-ce qui se passe?" What did I miss? Well, you're not here anymore, but it was just the Calgary Mexican cartel pipeline. That's it. We just don't know which Mexican cartel. I didn't see it mentioned. Okay, okay. This is about the second Arab power leader mentioned in the other article. So, do you have the link? Could you? I don't know if you can paste it here. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Let me know, or you want me to type something to Google something specific, maybe. It's up to you, buddy. Up to you, man. There you go. He helps us out. Everybody thank Adam Rogers again, because he's been helping us find stuff to. Dang, it didn't work. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just Google this here. Maybe it's gonna work. Oh, you send me another link. Let me click the other one. Okay, no, thanks, buddy. It worked. Now it worked. Let's see, what is it? What date is it? 6th March 2023. Okay, guys. Adam Rogers gives us a crazy Arab power update. This is about the second leader of Arab power. Okay. So, an informant gets his tongue cut out, something like that. So, something gruesome, unfortunately, happened, and it's a prisoner of RDP prison. So, Rivière des Prairies, I'm assuming the Montreal one. Don frère le membre de gang Sylvain Cabucci. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Tongue lacerated for having spoken too much. Detainees of the prison of RDP would have attacked another prisoner because of his status as a snitch last January. Now remember, this is January 2023, so a year and a half ago. Sylvain Cabucci, the presumed killer of the right-hand man of gang boss Jean-Philippe Celestin, remember? The guy who got his brother killed recently. He went to Gregory Woolley's funeral, and after Gregory Woolley, I don't know, they showed pictures of him with the patch, getting patched into the Marauders. You do the math there, maybe. Not sure, honestly. But, so, the person who got his tongue lashed is Cabucci, and he's the presumed murderer of the right-hand man of gang boss Jean-Philippe Celestin. So he's their enemy, I guess. Let's see what's going on. So yeah, that's it. It has to be an enemy, I'm assuming. So let's look. Cabucci would have been implicated on January 9th, 2023 in an attack that happened in an RDP prison, where many occupants of the prison lacerated the tongue of another detainee. Okay, now I'm confused. Is it Cabucci who got it happen to him, or did he do it to other people? This is where I'm a little bit confused. Okay. No, my apologies. Cabucci is part of the aggressors. They did it to somebody else, okay? They did it to somebody else, just to be sure here, just to be clear here. Somebody else who they deemed a snitch, basically. According to documents consulted by this newspaper, La Presse, the suspect is detained in an extremely secure unit or area of the prison, one of the most restrictive areas. So then he's transferred to this sector. The bandit from Laval was not interrogated when being transferred there, and no disciplinary report was produced in link with the crime. So this is Sylvain Cabucci. There you go. They all shaved their eyebrows exactly the same location, and the other man, people have no. They all just follow the leader, copy each other. He's just missing the tattoo on the cheek right here. You're just missing that, but yeah, shave your eyebrow, make a line, guys, like all y'all do. Read them. It's getting ridiculous. Well, anyways, Cabucci was contesting the facts that he was treated differently from other detainees, and that he was being transferred to a high security sector of the area without any reasons being explained to him. So they transferred him to a high security area of the prison. And he also denies that he had any participation in the attack against the guy who got his tongue damaged, right? Now, the suspect claims that it is impossible to pretend or to prove that he's the one controlling other detainees in this attack or giving them orders. Anyways, these are all just waste of time. I'm just going to try to get to the heart of the story here. So he met, so they're interrogating him, the cops, right, or prison staff. So the director of the service of the prison, so the director of the prison, basically, says that Kabuchi is one of the most influential actors in organized crime in Quebec, according to documents deposed in court. So the testimony of a director of that prison, identifying him as one of the most important or more influential actors in organized crime in Quebec. That's not a light statement here. You got the director of prison saying that. And he's saying one of the most influential actors in organized crime in Quebec. You need to let that simmer in, just like Adam Rogers wanted it. So show him some homage here, appreciate what he's giving us. I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to skip that. Now, considered as a head of a he's considered as a brand name that comes out in violence in gangs in Laval. The young man of 23 years old, known by the police as a street gang member, a Laval street gang member, called Bloc Mafia of Chomedey sector. Sources close to the criminal underworld affirm that he recently dissociated from this group in reason of a conflict. So Sylvain Kabuchi, Laval street gang member called Bloc Mafia, but they from Chomedey Laval. However, other people are saying that he more recently may have dissociated from them. Now you need to remember the Laval area. I cannot remember the name of the gangs, but we've been hearing that some of them in Laval are at war with the Blue faction. Something like that, It's almost impossible to remember all this at this point. But I'm wondering if any of this has any links to any of that, It wouldn't be far-fetched whatsoever. Now, at the moment of his arrest, for the offing of Michel Lapé, alias Crank, he was already detained in the prison of RDP. Now, Lapé, who they say got off, his name alias Crank, was considered the right-hand man of gang boss Jean-Philippe Celestin. So let's put it, just to recap, so we don't lose what's important here. Sylvain Kabuchi, they think he's linked to the death of Michel Lapé, who is the right-hand man of Jean-Philippe Celestin. Now, this is new. We're just new storylines for us to follow, someone put this on our lap, so we needed to catch up on that. You see, it's like what I was telling you guys, it's like, how could I tell you this? Ain't no pride in knowing any of this, Ain't no pride in knowing any of this, but we're trying to figure it out so we can understand what's happening. And we're going to understand it one stroke of a brush at a time until we get a big picture eventually, right? That's what I was telling you, that it would be way more daunting for me to do this for Toronto, starting from scratch from nothing. It would take too long. It'll be too annoying, Not for me, but for you guys. So anyways, but that's what we're doing here. And you see, it's been months and months and months of work But eventually we'll keep going, and we're gonna have a way better picture than we do now. But isn't it fun? We're learning a lot here, and we're gonna derive some lessons from all this. So okay, that's where you are now. Jean-Philippe Celestin, who used to be one of the right-hand men of Willie, who recently joined the Marauders, who recently had his brother, not himself, but his brother got killed, unfortunately, leaving a wedding reception or something like that, as a message probably to Jean-Philippe Celestin, probably to him. It looked like a big FU message, honest, in my opinion. That's what it looked like. So his right-hand man, the previous year to that, that's what I want you to realize. The previous year to that, his right-hand man got offed. Wouldn't it be far-fetched to think that these two, it's the same people who are trying to wreck his life? Maybe, I don't know. But anyhow, we have a enemy here. If we believe in everything we just read, here we have a name, a face of the enemies here. We got a Sylvain Cabucci in all of this so far, right? Not saying he offed his brother or anything, or had his brother offed. I don't know, bro. But we're just reading, and we're trying to look at the whole list of people, and so let's keep going. Numerous disciplinary measures in prisons. So he didn't obey the rules. No surprise there. So he got many warnings in jail, it says here, for behavior behind bars. So at a certain point, the 23-year-old man, I don't get it. He asked to meet personnel of the establishment. There could be numerous reasons for that. Who knows? But he never got a response. They didn't meet him, it says. And I guess but then there was the attack on the 9th of January on the guy with the tongue, right? But maybe they met him after that. That's when they had to meet him. Oh, okay. So he's trying to get a meeting with the prison guards. They ignore him, and now he's trying to grab their attention. So he's violating rules. He's trying to force them to come meet him, basically. I don't understand what he's doing exactly here, but it says here, he melts a part of a glass. I don't get it. Oh, okay. So he melts a window. I don't get it. He burns, or he torches, I don't know how, maybe with a lighter, his plastic glass window, because they're not making them in I guess it's in plastic. It's not in glass. Sorry, because if in glass you can shatter it, right? They have different special types of windows where you can't just shatter them, I guess. So his window in plastic, he managed to burn part of it from in the window of his cell, right? Of his cell. Oh, here we have the answer. He does it with a toaster. You put the bread inside the toaster to make your toast. I don't know how that works, but he managed to burn the window using his toaster, it says here. But he did this to attract the attention of the prison guards. And that gets him a disciplinary measure. Now, 1 month after doing this, to get their attention for something, who knows what, it says 1 month later. No, not even. No, this is actually, let's go back. This is actually 1 month after the beatdown. So I'm assuming it's the tongue, the guy with the tongue who got beat up, right? I think it's 1 month after that, I guess. It's either that, or you're talking about 1 month after that, or 1 month after the toaster incident. You take your pick. I'm not sure. They find a heating plate. Don't know what that is. But also a brass knuckle that was shaped. So a custom-made brass knuckle made from remember the toaster we talked about? So he broke up the toaster and he shaped it into a shape of a brass knuckle, basically. So they find this in his cell, okay? So these are the disciplinary stuff, basically. They're listing it for us. If I could skip this, I will. I wasn't expecting that. It's like a little bit of waste of time for us. So, and another indisciplinary measure, when, what the hell? Kabuchi orders a pizza by telephone to make a joke to the agents. That's actually funny. So even they found it funny, kind of funny. Yet they have to follow rules. They gave him another red card, whatever you want, a disciplinary measure, another whatever that means. I have no idea. And now they're saying that in January they found, quote, an important package inside of his cell. What does that mean? I have no idea. That's all I got. Notorious criminal. Sylvain Kabuchi has a long history in criminality despite his young age, as well as being suspected in the offing of La Paix. So someone sent him the order, right, to go kill the right-hand man of Jean-Philippe. You would wonder. He didn't just come up with this by himself, did he? Sylvain Kabuchi. Yeah, we did that one, sorry. In January 2022, he was arrested for a violent home robbery incident and the kidnapping of a pregnant woman in Laval. A conflict between a transaction of bitcoins would be tied to this crime. What does that mean? A conflict or surrounding a transaction of bitcoins. How could you have a conflict over a transaction of bitcoins? You know, if you're robbing someone, is that a conflict? Or it's just a robbery? I don't know. I'm a little lost there, but you make it what you will. He's facing numerous chiefs of accusations for sequestration, means holding someone, like forcing someone against, like sort of like kidnapping someone against his will, like holding him hostage. He can't go anywhere or he's going to get hurt type of thing. Discharging his tool. Robbery for another incident happening in Boisbriand. So this one's even northern from Laval. So you would go north from Laval, you would hit Boisbriand. You see the area there. The picture, give you a picture. His gang was in Laval, right? Now they said he dissociated from the Laval gang. So who's he associating with now is the question. He was also accused during an operation where they seized 2 keys of Crafty. So you see the word Fenty there. You can assume that it's not Fenty, but it's like Fenty, you know. Doesn't take rocket science to assume that. But that was in December 2021. This time, somewhere completely different, in Granby. So there was an operation there where they seized this much, and he was one of the accused. There you go, yeah. This substance is from the OP family, 100 times stronger even than Fenty. Damn, man. And Sylvain Kabuchi was the object of 2 attempted offings in the past. So they also tried, remember, he's 23 years old. He already had 2 attempts on his life to kill him. The question becomes, where were these 2 attempts? I'm just curious. Was it inside of prison? Just curious. Or was it outside of prison? But, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting article, man. Thanks a lot. But he says, I didn't see any mention of Arab power at all here, but he gave it crazy Arab power update. This is about the second Arab power leader mentioned in the other article. So I guess they're saying that he's one of the Arab power leaders. I'm taking Adam your words for it. I'm not going to search for it. We'll try to remember this. All right. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining in. And yeah. What an interesting twist of events, huh? Everything links together somehow, huh? We spoke about Jean-Philippe Celestin before. Then you would think we're talking about BFM. Then from the BFM, we linked it to Arab power. That they go to send someone to the bunker and everything. Then we get our lead into who the leaders are, and we find out that that at least one leader is a really, really tight friend. And you see pictures of him with Marquins Willem Vilme, who was one of the hitmen for killing the Hells Angel in Ontario. You know? And then you find out, well, Arab Power has not one leader, maybe one or two, three guys who are part of the leadership. And you get a name called Sylvain Cabucci, and you find out now Sylvain Cabucci seems like to be an enemy of gang boss Jean-Philippe Celestin. Then you'd assume that means the Arab Power is against. You would assume, because if you look, if it's lining up, then this seems to be lining up against Jean-Philippe Celestin, which would make sense. Jean-Philippe Celestin patched into the biker pipeline. Did he not? He become a Marauders. He means he's tight with the Hells Angels now. Which, didn't they try to sabotage the Hells Angels? You understand what I'm saying here? Things are lining up perfectly here. It's giving us a story here, a picture. Very interesting. Anyways, man, more months of work together, and it's going to be even more and more confirmations along the way, if we're right or if we're wrong. Anyhow, thanks a lot, guys. Shout out to you, to Couscous, Adam Rogers, Bull, Anthony Serrano. What's up, buddy? Aggressive Bat, of course. Shout out to Wishbone. Thank you for last time, homie. I appreciate it. And and all the other guys too. Wes Dozer, Francois Carman. There's just too many people. Sorry. I can't remember them. But on the spot, that is. But believe me, I read your names. I do read your names. Trust me. It makes me happy. Anyways, thank you guys. Have a great day.